Hi, I'm Charlie from CookingSecretsForMen.com, and we are continuing our series, Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. And I'm very pleased to have as my guest today, Father Tim Kitzke. Father.
Charlie.
Thanks for coming all the way down from St. Mary's, about a mile down the road. For the sake of transparency, Father Tim is the pastor of the church I go to, Old St. Mary's, which is literally about a mile from here. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but the reason when I moved to Milwaukee, the reason I went to St. Mary's, it's the first mass on the east side.
Exactly. And you're always there. You're always there.
So it's the earliest mass, and that's been my MO since I was a kid. You are one of the community leaders here, but that's one reason why you are here. But the main reason you're here is because after church, during your homily at Mass a couple of months ago, you were talking about you wanted to eat more healthy and trying to lose weight, and you wanted to learn how to cook. And I said, really? So
you woke up a little bit.
Right, I woke up because not that I sleep through your sermons.
Well, some do.
Okay.
Some do.
So I approached you after church and said, I think we should talk because, this is kind of what I do. The name of my channel is Cooking Secrets for Men. In restaurant business, 77% of chefs are men, but most men don't cook.
Right.
For various reasons. I mean, there's a myriad of reasons for that. So I said, just come on the show and I'll teach you how to cook some things. We'll have a good time. We'll talk about the work in the community. So both of those things are important to me. Work in the community and how we're trying to make our city a better place, and cooking something good and then eating it. So, all right. So you are a Milwaukee area native, South Milwaukee. So you're born and raised, and talk about your early years, your formative years, and the role that your parents had on you.
Oh, Charlie, thanks for that. Yeah, and it's really great to be with you. Thank you so much for asking me to be here because I do want to learn how to cook, but I also just have a schedule that I just need the easiest way to do it.
Sure.
And but in terms of my history, I've had a great history. I grew up in South Milwaukee, two great parents, Leo and Marianne Kitzke, God rest their soul, they're in the kingdom, and two sisters and a brother. And just had a really great growing up in South Milwaukee. Part of the dimension of kind of my vocation, I'm what's known as a lifer. So I went in right after grade school. So I went to St. John's Grade School in South Milwaukee, and then basically pretty much have been on the path since really 1973, on the path towards living this in the middle of the world. People ask, why do you want to do that? I always had just goodness in my family, but no real pressure. It was just, we were kind of a good Catholic. We used to go to the early Mass at St. John's, South Milwaukee, lined up. And but part of the thing is my parents also instilled in us a real sense of a couple things. They sent a sense of the joy and goodness of family living, but also coming together as a family in meals, but also hospitality for others. And so I think my real desire as a priest was always to just help others and make the world a better place for others. And so went to high school seminary, went to college seminary, took a couple years off, worked as a bartender on Cape Cod and bar waiter on Cape Cod. Worked as a server in Boston, so I have deep respect and affection for people who are in the food business, for servers and that. But then eventually, back in 1984, decided I just want to give my life to Christ and the church, and so decided to come back, and that's 34 years ago since, and just flourishing by the grace of God.
So you mentioned one thing one thing my wife has always said, that everyone should work in the service industry. At some point to understand what it is to be on the other side. Yeah. So you don't disrespect the people who are serving your food or cleaning up after you or cleaning your rooms when you're in a hotel.
Oh yeah, and you should overtip them. It's been on this. I always tell people too, if you want to learn about people, serve table. If you want to learn about hearing confessions, bar table. And food, obviously, Charlie, you're doing this. Food brings us together. Obviously, at least as Catholics, we're at the Eucharistic table, the bread of life and the cup of salvation, wine and bread. Jesus came to us and said, no, take and eat, take and drink, because there's something in that that's not only very human, but we believe very divine.
Right. So when did you decide that you wanted to be a priest?
Back in the third grade, the good sisters, and again, we in the church have such wonderful women. And I remember back in the third grade, my sisters kind of just the religious nun told me, and then my 6th grade sister, Sister Adeline, said, you know, you should really think about priesthood. So really from early stage, I've been thinking about all this.
So, I know you went to Catholic University in DC,
Right.
And we have several points of intersection, tangential intersection that I wanted to kind of bring it. So I was born in DC at Garfield Hospital, which does not exist any longer, which is up in the Brookland area where Catholic is.
Right.
Right, the old soldiers' home, which again doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist, yeah.
Because in the 50s, when I was born, there were old soldiers from World War II. So that's one point. So talk about your education. You kind of touched on it a little bit.
You know, that's the grace of our tradition, but I think the grace of any great tradition is also to realize we have the life of the mind. And I think my days in Washington at Catholic University, I studied philosophy. And philosophy for me, was the tangential, rooted in the classics, but looking forward to the future. Because I think, especially in this time and age, we all need to think and believe and feel our way through some of the craziness. And we need to have, philosophy is the art of making distinctions. So I learned that from a very early stage, combined with theology then, to know that there are all different ways of terms of looking at the truth, but helping the truth, which we believe is real, to come forth. And so my education, I had stellar education, always given the opportunity.
Well, I think you mentioned to me before we went on that you also studied in Belgium.
I did. I studied philosophy in Washington and then eventually studied theology in Belgium. And there too, I studied at the University of Louvain, which is the oldest Catholic university in the world. Again, just combining great values and virtue and truth in the middle of a contemporary world, but also to realize that education isn't just a matter of the brain, it's a matter of the heart, it's a matter of the person. And so what we learned in terms of that is to encounter also in art, in architecture, in music, that great sense that somehow God becomes incarnate for us in the experiences we have as human beings.
So you mentioned this earlier, you've been a priest for 34 years. I think you just celebrated your anniversary not too long ago.
Yeah, just last week. And so, 24 years here on the east side.
I know I heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
At Mass. So you started out at St. Roman on the south side.
St. Roman on the south side.
And then to Whitefish Bay to Holy Family. And then you've been here on the east side of Milwaukee for 24 years.
Yes, people say, how do you stay so long? Well, what happened was I started out, Archbishop had asked me to combine 3 parishes. You know, we're in a change in terms of church structure, and we were at the cutting edge. So to take 3 parishes, St. Hedwig, St. Rita, Holy Rosary, and make it 3 Holy Women, but keep the churches open. I think it's really good for neighborhoods to keep churches open. Whatever denomination, it just is an anchor in the neighborhood that helps us to realize that in the middle of the craziness of the world, that there is something that is stable. We got to be that food for each other. And so, so I was there, and then in 2006, I became pastor at St. Mary's. Then in 2010, became pastor at St. Peter and Paul and St. Our Lady of Divine Providence in River West. And now, as of June 20th, I'll be the pastor at the Cathedral. So the rector and pastor of the Cathedral.
So how do you juggle all those hats? I mean, that's just...
Yeah, it's like, you know what, I'd love to say it's all up to me, but first of all, by grace, by God's love, I think. But also, I have some really great, the great gift, first of all, I have great associate pastors that are working with me. These young guys are just really getting it, and they're really, really fun to work with. But also, I have a great lay staff. I really believe in the power of lay, what we call lay ecclesial ministry, that it's not just volunteering, that lay people should take a proper place in their church in order to bring about the mission of Jesus. And so that's how I do it. What I say to people is I surround myself with really good people, have them work really hard, and then I take all the credit.
Right. There you go. I'm good at that too. One of the things that I really want to talk about is our city, Milwaukee, is one of the poorest cities in the United States. Up until the early 70s, it was one of the better cities, and the per capita income for African Americans in the 70s was the highest in the nation because of the manufacturing base. And as the manufacturing base went away, those jobs went away, and you had a generation of undereducated people with skills that were not transferable anywhere else. Right. So this underclass of people, a whole section of our city was relegated to service jobs, if they could find a job.
Right.
So you were appointed the Vicar General for the Archdiocese 3-4 years ago?
I'm called the Vicar for Urban Ministry.
Right.
So basically what that is it's kind of sending out the message. A vicar is always an archbishop's special representative to specific areas and specific needs. And he really asked me to, the urban element of not only Milwaukee, but also in other places, like for example in Kenosha, Racine, we're at 10 Southeastern County, but it's the Archbishop saying that taking care of the poor, but also the issues that lead to poverty, and also the issues that keep these crazy situations in place. We live in a great country, and Milwaukee is a great city, but we have work to do. So my job is to, I'm not to do all the work. I'm supposed to be kind of the cheerleader and say, let's get going. Let's keep to our consciousness, but that we can come together despite our differences to work to make people's lives better.
So one of the things that as the vicar, Vicar General.
No, it's not Vicar General.
Oh, you're just vicar now?
I'm now vicar, so yeah, so.
So you're, you took your stripes away?
So.
All right, so you're the vicar.
No clothing or jewelry, so just.
So what is it that you have learned about, and I'm sure as a priest for 30 plus years, you were always dealing with people that are less fortunate, but in some of these parishes, especially in the north side, that are very poor, what is it that you've learned about the daily struggles that they go through just to exist?
Yeah, we have no idea. I think the first thing I've learned is that I think how we're going to deal with this, we have to get past this us-them. Somehow their lives are so totally different than us,
right. And
it's the poor people. No, because you know what, as Kinship Community Food, which is part of our parish's mission, everybody receives and everyone gives. Everybody has poverty, everybody has richness. And it's a matter of bringing people together to help them understand and to let them know that there is a way of being in the world that, again, it's not an us-them, but it's together. And what I've learned from them is that there's great strength in working together. Once we get past our differences, and not even get past our differences, but to grow in and through our differences so that we can work together. And that's my job, is not to convert or proselytize. My job is to bring about a common table, to follow through on our theme of today,
right.
To bring together a common table where we all bring certain things to the table, even though they might be different tastes, you can still be nourished by it.
You mentioned kinship. This Vincent Noth was here maybe months ago, and they have a very interesting project that they're working on to kind of train their clients to fend for themselves. And they brought along one, Orlando Pacheco. I don't know if you know Orlando.
I do, yeah.
Orlando was here, and he made mofongo, which is
it's great.
Puerto Rican dish. And
Yeah.
It was great, and Orlando told his story, and he was going to come in with Jason
Gonzalez.
Jason Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Jason has he had a conflict. He's who canceled today. And he's going to come later in the summer.
So I'm just a ringer. I'm just that's
well, you were, you're a week early. So
he's a great guy.
Orlando's going to come back with Jason and cook some more. So that was a great segment where we're talking about kinship, and I know there's we collect a lot of stuff weekly for what used to be River West Food Factory. Now is kinship.
Yeah.
So you tell great stories. Most times they're funny.
Sometimes they're funny.
They're usually true and almost always self-deprecating. You're not blowing your own horn. You're telling a story for a purpose. One of my favorites goes back to, it's an Easter time and you're going to your family's house. And your sister.
My sister yelled out.
As you walk in, your sister says, "Oh look, the Easter ham has arrived."
Exactly. That's my family. There's always something going on in my family. God bless. My mom and dad had great senses of humor, and we always, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're taking yourself too seriously. And part of that is also we need that sense of getting to know each other and share stories. I'll tell a quick story about my mom. So one time I had just been ordained, so 34 years ago, I just put on the Roman collar and came home, and I know I'm very, very shy, but I was kind of full of myself.
Yeah, that's what people say.
Kind of full of myself, and as I still am in a little bit. So anyways, I'm coming home and my mom's in the kitchen. She's dicing and making the Sunday afternoon dinner, which I'd always go to Sunday afternoon when my parents were living, have dinner with them, and also to pick up my laundry. So, she'd be doing. So all of a sudden I walked in and I said, "Hey, Marianne." No answer. Walked further. "Hey, Marianne." No answer. I said, "Marianne," and she turned around, she goes, "There's one person in the world you can call mother. I will never respond to anything else." Then she looked at me, she goes, but I'm never going to call you father. So yeah, so I was always Timmy. And usually Timmy the Ham. But part of the thing is that, yeah, I think we all need to get to know our names better, isn't it? I was thinking about, and Charlie, God bless you for doing this. This is just bringing people together to a common table in a unique product. I hope you get a lot of hits, and I hope that we go forward because, again, it's little things that get us to know each other. You by chance asked me to come here, but look at already the names that we share: Vincent and Jason, all those guys, and all the men and women that work at Kinship. But we're trying to do that now. For example, we have a thing on the south side called Father Gene's Help Center. It's taken that model of food with clothing now. Oh. And so we have an executive director, Jessica, and it's just really working out. It's not us giving to people, but entering into and realize that as Vincent has developed and as we're trying to do with clothing now, things like food and clothing are entrances into community.
Right.
It brings us together, and not only that, because then it just doesn't become me, the nice person, giving to you, the poor person, but it's both of us in relationship, finding out a common bond, and through generosity, we each receive something to make the world a better place. So
absolutely.
That's what it is.
So the secondary reason you're here, really here to talk about community work, and it's so appreciated. I mean, people who work in our community toil, for the most part, in anonymity. Your name may be familiar, but what you do on a daily basis, on a weekly, monthly basis, just is not talked about enough. So that's one of the things we like to do, shine a light on people trying to make a difference in our city. And our city does need some help.
Yeah.
But part of this is serious people with serious jobs having a little fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to have a little fun today.
Oh, good, Charlie. I love it.
So I want to give you first an apron.
All right.
Put that on so you don't get, how many of those black shirts do you have?
At this stage of 34 years of priest, are probably about a dozen.
Okay.
But you know what? They wear out. They get a little tight on the double chin and collar cutting.
I still don't want to get them all dirty. So when we've been talking, you mentioned that you've lost some weight.
Yep, and working on it, man, it's tough.
So you're eating more healthy, and you were interested in trying to learn how to cook some things to be able to, if you come home late and you don't want to go to McDonald's, you don't want to pull something, eat a donut or something. You wanted something that's healthy, but you also can make. You're learning how to cook. So cooking is like any skill.
Yeah.
You learn the basics, you practice, and you become better at it. And that's the overwhelming majority of people in this country who cook are not gourmet chefs. They're just people who want to put a tasty meal on the table that doesn't cost $1 million, and they can do it in a short amount of time on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how most people cook. So that's what we're going to work on today.
That's good, Charlie. Yeah, because we have to eat,
right.
and I think all food is good. You talk about healthy food, and I try to eat. And part of this whole health kick is to try to eat better. For me, it's a matter of scheduling and it's a matter of convenience. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing.
Sure.
Because as you know, I have all these balls in the air, and so the first thing to fall off the list of things to do is to go shopping. I need something convenient, and I need something that I can do quickly. Also, it's stuff that can be in the refrigerator for a little bit,
right.
and that it won't spoil. Because part of the process is that my schedule is so irregular that every once in a while, I'll be gone, I'll leave at 6 and not be back till 10 at night, and in between try to fit things in. But on the other hand, it'd be nice to have something in the refrigerator that I can go to the store and you can tell me what aisle to go to,
right.
and then pick it up. I don't even care if I eat it every week. I just need to know that every once in a while, at the end of the day, it's better than eating a bag of potato chips.
Sure. So what we talked about, which made a lot of sense, was making tacos and quesadillas. Mm-hmm. And they're similar because there's similar components to both. They're different, obviously, but so we'll work on those. And I told you this, that quesadillas on a Friday night happen more times than not in our house.
With you and Ellen, all right.
It's simple. And then tacos for a group, especially when we have our 2 boys home, that's a family meal because you put out a bunch of stuff and you make your own.
Yeah.
So we'll give us a chance to set up. We've done a little bit of prep work, but we're going to head and make this, and then I think we have to eat it after we do it.
All right, sounds good to me.
Have you had breakfast?
I haven't.
Okay, me neither. So we're going to have tacos for breakfast.
There you go.
So we'll be right back. All right, so we're going to get started here. So we're going to cook the taco meat here. We're gonna cook some onions and peppers, make some black beans, and here's our quesadilla pan.
Okay.
So, Father Tim, I'm gonna get you, let's put this, we got some oil that's been heated. I just want you to grab the peppers and onions and just toss them in.
In here?
Yep. Put them all in. All right, so this is just a red onion and a red pepper. So one of the things you usually want to do with these, you take a little salt and pepper. This is a product called salt, pepper, garlic from Grillaholics, which I use. It's got a little, so you want to season everything to your taste. And so while you're doing that, this is a pound of ground turkey, and for eating healthy, that's what we want to do. This pan, we're going to cook the turkey, and so the only thing you have to do here is get all the pink out.
Okay.
So as soon as the pink's gone, we're good.
Then it's good.
All right. And you really don't have to put any oil in. And you want to get those to soften a little bit. Get us teamwork.
That's it.
So you just break these up a little bit. And you can use, for tacos, you really can use anything. You use a rotisserie chicken. You can use, and the same with quesadillas. Leftover pork chop, leftover steak, you know, any of that stuff you can just, this is, in some respects, a clean out the fridge kind of meal. You see what you got. All right, so let that go for a minute. We're gonna make some black beans. The black beans are simple. This is just a Kroger can, and you can see you don't need a can opener.
You don't even need a can opener. That's good. Well, I don't know if I have a can opener.
This is a pan back here. We're just gonna put them in. You don't have to drain them. Put the whole can in. And they'll need a little seasoning. So, oh, there he is. He's just being proactive. So there's a little, this is cumin that you can use. I'm going to use salt and pepper. That's fine. But you definitely want to give a little spice to the can of beans. And it's going to be on low. So you really don't have to do anything except every once in a while give them a little stir. And are you a garlic person?
I am.
There we go. One of the things you can add to the peppers and onions is a little teaspoon of garlic.
Okay.
Put that in. And then that'll cook and give it a little flavor. So this is going to be the inside of our quesadilla.
Okay.
All right, so our turkey's getting close. Now you can see that there's not a lot of grease here. There's a little bit of liquid, but no more grease. And you want to break up as many of these pieces as possible. All right, so I just use any kind of taco seasoning that's in the grocery store. Also, there's just regular chili powder too if you have that. So you can see there's a little bit of liquid here, which will be good to help absorb the flavor.
Right.
So, all right, just gonna put this on top. I'm gonna stir it in. So the meat's basically done. And I'm going to add just a little chili powder because I can. Just, half a teaspoon or something. Just both for a little color, a little taste. I think it's just regular old chili powder from the grocery store. There's nothing special about it. Take this off the fire.
That's good.
So we got that, and those are doing good. And you can see the beans there's a little bit of percolating, but we're on low here. So all these are doing is heating, and we're going to put those in a bowl. So there's not a whole lot we can do. Right. So let's organize the tacos. All right, so I'm going to take the taco meat, just put it in a bowl, and this will be the base of our tacos.
Okay.
This is kind of hard to put on quesadillas because it'll fall apart.
Right.
It's the most stuff that's vegetarian. All right. So we're in a bowl. So that's part one. Oh yeah, they were really good. You can see this little caramelization in them.
Yeah.
So that's good. So we'll take this off the fire. And then we'll wait on the quesadilla. Let's do the quesadilla last.
Okay.
So I was telling Father Tim that this is going to use for the quesadilla. So that's heating, and then for the tacos we want to heat our tortilla shells. All right. So what we're going to do, all you do is you put them in between two paper napkins. You put them in the microwave for about 15-20 seconds, and they're nice and warm. You can also cook them on the griddle. The microwave works just fine. Why don't you go ahead and put down, we got one tortilla there. So go ahead and fill, or not fill, but put the cheese on last.
Oh, okay.
Put the veggies, kind of spread them out. Yeah, you don't want to get the edges. Yeah, that's probably pretty good. So you can put anything in here. We talked about green onions. Now you want to top with the cheese in here. Going on that. All right. So, and then I put the top on, and here comes let it sit for about 30 seconds. It won't take that long. This will show how much you've learned in the last 15 minutes. All we're looking for is to brown them, because everything in the middle is cooked. Take a peek underneath, see if you can see anything. Well, underneath where the part's on the griddle. A little bit more. So take another 15-20 seconds. All right, so yeah, you want to... Shoot. Oh!
Darn. Wait there, no, we can fix it.
Yeah.
All things are fixable.
Absolutely. Just pull the top off a little bit. There.
There we go.
There we go.
See? That's why I'm not a cook.
No, this is practice. We're learning.
I know we're learning. You're right. It's possible to make mistakes.
So you learned that next time you want to make sure you corralled it like on the bottom, but also might put your hand on the top.
Ah, there you
and
go,
then
like
flip it.
this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, because the top is not hot.
Right.
It is now, but
Right, but back then it wasn't.
So what we'll do is we'll serve it and take a look underneath, because they cook a little quicker than under.
Oh,
wait,
sorry.
So yeah, that's good. So let's take that off. No, let's turn it off the heat. Take off the move it over. There you go. All right. So we're gonna cut this and put it back on. There you go. We're gonna cut this. We're gonna get our tacos together, and then we're gonna sit down and
Sounds good, Charlie.
give them a choice. You get your choice of tacos, quesadillas, or both. All right. Father Tim is sitting very patiently. And actually, I want to show you what we've got there. So we have our quesadilla over to Father's left, right there. We have our tortillas in a tortilla warmer, which is the one we put in the microwave. And then we've got black beans, we've got rice, we've got the taco meat, which is turkey, lettuce, green onions, cilantro, salsa, guacamole, cheese, rice, and everything. And one of the things that I pointed out, if you want to eat less, use a smaller plate, which seems normal. Anyway, so let's eat.
Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which you're about to receive from the abundance of Christ, Lord, amen. And blessing on everyone in TV land, wherever you are, blessings on you, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
All right, so I'll take one quesadilla. There you go. Put you on there. I have a grace story. My family was professional Catholics. My mother, in 1966, the largest snowstorm in the history of Washington happened. And I was, I think, 9 or 10 years old. I must have been 9, because it was in the winter. So I went to, this is another point of tangential intersection. I went to St. John the Evangelist grade school in D.C.
Same as I went to St. John the Evangelist in South Milwaukee.
And the school was maybe a mile from our house. But my mother, being a professional Catholic, said, well, we can't miss Mass. And the streets were literally, the snow drifts and the way they had plowed the streets, you were walking between what looked like two fences of snow. Yeah. And we walked, she got us all bundled up. We walked, however, it was a mile, in our boots. I think we had 4 kids at the time. And we got there, and there was 2 nuns, the priest, and some guy who lived across the street.
Really?
And the priest it came over at some point and said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Well, it's because she's a professional Catholic and she takes attendance." And so anyway, this is. Oops, I like cilantro. You don't, so I'll help myself.
Oh, this is great, Charlie. You're the best.
I appreciate your help.
And you know, it's everyone out there in TV land, it's not as hard as it seems. I didn't do it well, but I tried.
I did fine. And this is a practice thing. And this is so versatile and flexible. There's so many different ways to go here. So I put my napkin in my lap. My mommy told me. My professional Catholic mother. I had, I don't know if you know who Wendell Willis is. He's a friend who's used to be the executive director at MPS Foundation. But he came on, last fall and made steak fajitas. But he also made margaritas at 10 o'clock on a Saturday.
10 o'clock on a Saturday.
That's great.
Yeah, that wouldn't go well.
So I thought about it, and because Ellen said, "You think you should have some beer with your?" I said, "I'm not offering beer to a priest at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I'm just not doing it."
I'm sure it's happened before, but yeah, I had a full day today, so this is great. Good start.
I need a little bit of salsa.
Charlie, I'll always remember you when I see you at 7:15 now, and I'm gonna just I'll push on this. It's really a great show you got here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, what works is the people who come on and the people who are trying to make our city better. And that's what I like to talk about. I like to eat, but I have fun getting to know people a little bit better, getting to know people who are the community leaders.
Right. And like I said before, everything's based on relationship. We all got to get to know each other. And also, in the great diversity of the city, we'll understand the issues better if we put a human face to it. One thing that's reported in the paper about issues that are facing this perplexing time in history. But if you personalize it and put a name on it and put people's faces on it, it just becomes all the more easy to take effective action. Because everything is based on human relationship. And in our tradition, God working in and through our human actions to bring about justice and peace for all. But to remember, it's not just an ideal, it's not just a philosophy, it's a lived reality with human beings, that we got to do it together. And that people are people, and we have that inherent respect for every person that is part of our culture, part of our tradition.
I certainly appreciate you both being flexible and coming in a week early. Eating breakfast with me the Mexican way, tacos and quesadillas. But I appreciate all the work you do.
I feel like I'm on vacation. This is great.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Charlie. God bless you. God bless everyone.
We'll continue our series, Cooking with our Milwaukee community leaders. We've got several guests lined up over the next few months. I think we're scheduled out through almost August. Variety of people who are trying to make our city better. So do appreciate everyone's support. Please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.
Yeah, Ron.